Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching Healthy Alternative. Today, I want to talk about the benefits of Michael, and today we're going to be talking about.
Today we'll be making one of my favorite soups.
Welcome to the
Tomato
JR72 Challenge.
I am Animated Mel, and I am your mental and wellness coach for
As always, perfection is not needed, but consistency.
We must first lovingly accept what is. You can't heal a body you hate.
No matter what, you have to put yourself first. If you're not aware that there's change that needs to be made, how can you fix it? This information is fire.
I had to come to the realization that, number one, I was an emotional eater.
We need to accept the decisions that we make, because if we can do that, then we have the power to change them. You came here so that way you can start moving into your heaven path.
Once again, thank you very much. I appreciate
Hey.
Okay.
Okay. My video. Okay.
one and done.
Sure.
Well,
One
y'all,
and done.
we made it. We made it.
Mama made it.
Mama, we made it.
This is the this is our final live, right?
Episode.
Final live.
And I'm assuming most people have been refeeding. I've definitely been getting some pushback. Some people not really wanting to refeed. I know y'all don't want to refeed. I know. Part of the refeed and why I'm telling y'all I want you to refeed is to, number one, embrace the process, instill discipline, and also we still have, over a week left in the group. So if you guys have issues and things of that nature, we can start handling that as you're doing your refeed. I know a lot of you all are hemming and hawing about the weight loss, the weight gain, right? You have it's the fasting spring back. It's the weight that you gain back after your challenge is over. I need you all to, first of all, if you did not follow the procedure, as far as like preparation and everything, all of that, I need you to remember what you didn't do right. It's the first thing I want you to do. Think about all the things where you can improve on. I also want you to think about, did you tape yourself? Did you most of us got our starting weight, but did you get your starting inches? The reason why the inches are so important is because the body tells a dynamic story. If you don't have your inches, you're not going to be able to truly like get a good understanding of your results. That's really all there is to it. Like, you can gain 10 pounds back coming off of a dry fast, but that doesn't mean that your composition is the same as it was before you lost the 10 pounds. So if you guys are doing everything right, you did the preparation right, you did the refeed right, maybe you didn't catch your inches, but you see 10 pounds come back, you did not just gain 10 pounds of fat back, okay? If you're doing the refeed properly, you didn't gain 10 pounds of inflammation back. What you gained back was a combination of, yes, some inflammation, but also bodily fluids being manufactured for digestion. There's weight to the food you're eating. So obviously, as you move your bowels, you'll see that. But the way the composition of the body responds to the refeed is completely different from the 10 pounds you had on you prior to the fast, or, before the fast. Okay. So I need you guys to understand that, because dry fasting is very different from water fasting, and the fasting spring back is different from water fasting. And we can think in our heads we're undoing our progress. As long as you're doing the right things, you're not undoing anything. Okay. The beautiful thing about the DR96 or just dry fasting in general is, number one, it teaches us how seamless water fasting and fasting in general can be. Okay. It tells us this makes sense. We could do this. I think a lot of you all, one of the things I saw was, hey, this is easier than water fasting. Why? Because the digestive system goes completely to rest. Therefore, hunger pangs are on a minimum. Now, if you guys did the process the way we laid it out for you, you also found that you know, your first few days of fasting weren't as intense as the first few days of water. Okay. A lot of people experience very heavy detox symptoms those first few days. Our program is designed to help you mitigate that. So if you're a coffee drinker, coffee withdrawals. If you're severely dehydrated, headaches. If you have a lot of toxicity in the body, especially in the way of heavy metals and things of that nature, skin outbreaks and rashes and all that kind of stuff, right? You should have seen a decrease of the intensity of those issues. You may have still craved things, but likely you were probably craving water. You may have been having thoughts of craving fresh fruit, you know? All of those things, if you guys have done water fasting before, I want you to think about the difference between your experience here and your experience with water fasting. And I want you to remember that. That's very important, because if you had a more seamless transition from, you know, traditional eating to dry fasting than you do with water, you may have found a tool that suits you better. And with continued use of this process, you'll start to see the weight continue to come off. A lot of us think that, you know, we talk about what numbers that you can achieve with this particular process. We saw some people achieving the numbers and more, right? 43 pounds and more. We saw that. We saw people achieving half of that, right? That's where you get your average from. But what you got to understand is, if you're doing it, you're dry fasting, you did the proper refeed, you're doing everything, you're moving in the right direction, whether you perceive that or not. And over time, if you continue to do it, you will see your body or anatomy change in ways that you didn't think possible, in time frames that you didn't think possible. So this challenge was designed to really shake things up, stir things up, show you guys a different way, show you how really powerful your body is. The goal here is to continue, okay? Is to be consistent. And if you're consistent, then you're going to see those results. And you guys don't even have to be fasting per se. If a lot of you all saw, 12 pounds or more come off just during the preparation. So imagine you've primed your body now because you've done the dry fasting. It's ready for nutrition. And then you just keep doing the preparation phase over and over and over again. Imagine what your weight loss is going to look like as you continue to do that. And of course, obviously, mental clarity, disease reversal, and whatever else that you're looking to achieve. So I just wanted to kind of frame the call that way. I want to definitely take some of your questions and see, what you guys are struggling with, what you're nervous about, whatever. But I figured that there may be a large amount of people that are concerned with that. Although when I say large, it's probably not like that many people, but I think there's definitely a subset of people that are like, dang, I gained back 10 pounds. Now what? So anyway, coaches, I wanted to give you guys a chance to go ahead and say hello and give your opening statements. We'll try to grab questions. If you guys are putting questions in the chat, we'll grab questions as we're going. And then we'll see if we've got questions from, if anybody submitted some questions, and we'll go over some refeed tips towards the end. So Stephen Michael, I'm gonna go ahead and start with you, man. What was your perception of this challenge like? What were you seeing? And what maybe if something that you feel like needs to be kind of addressed?
Well, hello everybody, welcome. And as Chris has already stated, congratulations that everybody that went through the challenge, that got to this point, and even congratulations to people that were going through it and maybe struggled and didn't necessarily finish. Right. Two things. Number one, just to kind of veggie back off of what Chris said about about inches, that's really important. And I think that it can't be understated how important it was during this challenge for you to measure yourself, because the body is extremely interesting. And the way that I tried to describe it to some of the people that I've worked with through the challenge is, let's say your family, your house, you guys have a pantry, right? In my family, we had a pantry. And they were all like snacks, and you have your dry goods, you have your canned goods, and they're all in the pantry, right? Your body is the pantry. And when you go through juice fasting, it's like taking out small little bits from the pantry, but with juice, you're still kind of bringing food in ever so often, right? Just visualize this, right? And then with water fasting, you're taking more out of the pantry, but it's not as much as with dry fasting. When you're dry fasting, you are absolutely emptying the pantry. So as soon as you go to the grocery store, when you start filling that pantry up, even if it's only a couple items, now you can see them, right? The pantry begins to fill up visually much faster, just because it was completely empty. So just understand that everything that you are, all of your weight gain, right? It's not what you lost. So measuring yourself is important. And when I went on, I did my 10 days of dry fasting with Jasmine, the multiple rounds. People were like, oh my God, you probably lost like 60 pounds. I'm like, no, actually, probably like 15 to 20, maybe. I mean, maybe. Now, because that was at the end of our fasting, and everything that we were losing was almost, I would assume, basically like pure fat, tons of inches, right? But weight loss was very, very minimal. So I think it's important to try to move our minds away from just the number. And I know for a lot of us, it can be a little difficult because either we're scale watchers or you're new and you're like, I need to get these numbers down, and that's how you track progress. But there's multiple ways you can track progress, and inches is one of them. The second thing, and it'll be quick, I know a lot of people, Chris said he wants you to go through the cycles and go through the refeed, and I know a lot of people are doing that. I also know that a lot of people, they're going to do their own thing, right? Like Miles Morales says, I'm going to do my own thing. Spider-Man fans? No? Okay. Anyway,
Yes.
okay. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing a video, which is pretty much titled, So Now What? And what I'll basically be doing is going into a more in-depth look at what you can do, a couple of different options of what you can do moving forward. So that way you can maintain and also progress your progress to the next challenge. So once again, congratulations. Sorry, that was a little long-winded, but congratulations, everybody.
No, you're good, man. I appreciate that. Look, I know that like a lot of people, they're like, man, what's next? What are we doing next? I already have the next challenge laid out, y'all. It's not completely built out, so I need a few weeks to build it out, but I already have the next challenge. So you guys are going to do what you do in the meantime. I think, Steven's video is going to help you out a lot with that, but just know that the next challenge is coming, and I've already taken data from this challenge and I've manipulated it. The next challenge is going to be exactly what you need. All right, Johnny Jupiter, you're up.
Yeah, man. So people, I noticed that was a very successful challenge. Excuse me. People were definitely seeing the benefits and everything early on, like you mentioned, during the prep and all that kind of stuff, which was really cool to see. And then after it was completed, I know there was a lot of clamoring for water, which I think it's interesting to look at the shift in perspective, because we go from, food addiction to necessity addiction, right? It's just like, oh, but it's not addiction because it's a necessity. We can go for a while without water. Yes. We know we can go for a while without water. But if there's one thing to have a clamoring for, it's water and things like that, versus these highly processed, toxic, quote unquote foods. I'm hard pressed to call it food, a lot of it, but most of it. But to desire water and liquid instead, and it really changes. I would imagine that your perspective on that has shifted, which is good. It's a much more empowering place to be. You are in control, and the food is not controlling you. And it's funny because I was just telling somebody at the fair today that was, I was just like, I've been fasting all day, even though obviously it's an eating day, but it's like I've been fasting because I don't got time. And when you do this as much as I do, it's kind of like I don't even think I had a hunger pain at all today. You know, it's just, this is something that I do. So it's a very powerful place to be. So I'm proud of you all. And I wanted to add on one of those things that your body drains away during a time of not having is glycogen. It's something that our body stores, our muscles store, you know, for energy and all that stuff, but it has weight. And when you're, so it's just, you know, just another little add-on with the whole, you know, measuring yourself when you're gaining stuff back when you start eating, is you're not just, oh, I put on, I'm 9 pounds heavier, I'm 9 pounds fatter. Like, no, like there's so many different liquids that your body just like, look, let me replenish all my reservoirs. You know, it's, you know, you want to have a reservoir, you want to have something lying in wait because when, in case of a real emergency, like it's got it, and it'll take care of you. So again, the whole interesting, and that's something that I experienced. I put on a shirt that I bought recently, and my weight had gone back up, but I've been working out. I put it on, I was like, wait a minute, oh, I thought it wouldn't fit, but it fits actually really well. So it's one of those, it's a mind effort. It just messes with your head. So you gotta have alternate tools to look at things and get a clearer perspective. So, but yeah, but the challenge definitely seemed to go well. I do want to find out how people were feeling as far as the, you know, the spiritual context, or what they might have noticed emotionally, the more intangible things. But we can do a live on that. Maybe not right now, but because I think people learn something about themselves, especially if it's your first time, second time. Excuse me. You learn something about yourself, and to me, that is one of the greatest, most important things. Because if you have an experience that was difficult for you, but you don't learn anything from it, then what was the point of the experience? And what's likely is you're going to keep going through these things that are really difficult until you finally get the message that is wanting to be sent to you. So it's important to, you know, okay, yeah, refeed, redrink, do all the things, right? But then take a minute and reflect. If you journaled, reflect on what you journaled, and the feelings you were feeling, the urgency that could be there, the perceived urgency that maybe now that it's over, you're just like, huh, I was in such a rush, and now that I've got it, it's like all is right with the world. And there's, you know, there's a power in being able to resist that urgency as well. Not being whipped around by your desires, your baser instincts, but to control them instead. Now it's just like you're at a much more powerful position when you could do that. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. People did extremely well, and I know that a lot of people were excited about this one. So it'll be cool to see. And there's so many new people joined during this time too. So it'll be cool to see, you know, what happens as we continue on these types of fasts, these types of challenges, because the people seem to like it. You know, gang.
Yeah, people like it. And I see Ebony wanted to go ahead and get her interview set up. So I put in the chat, just email support with a little brief synopsis of what you experienced and request the interview, so that support can set you up with any information you need to get that accomplished. And anybody else, Shell, do we have a form ready for people to sign up? You're muted.
I can drop it. I can drop it here, and I'll make a post as well.
All right. So anybody else who wants to talk about their experience and do an interview, you guys can. We'll have that available tonight. Remember, as Steve was talking and John was kind of talking about, like, the weight loss. We talk about this inflammation and we talk about this water weight. The water weight, is going to come off first. Right? The water weight comes off first, and then you got, as Steven kind of mentioned, when the weight loss starts slowing down, that means now you're burning fat. So you're not burning through the water weight anymore. It's like it's more dense. It takes more time to move it, but then once it's gone though. It's gone. So it's even more impactful because you don't have the quick up and down anymore. All right, Animated Mel, what you got?
Hello, everyone. I am Animated Mel, and congratulations on your successful fast of the DR96.
Yikes.
I hope everything went well, and I know everything went well. But for those who may have had a first time experience with a fasting challenge, hey, you need to pat yourself on the back because you did something that you've never done before. So this entire experience was a worthy experience. It was something that you should write down in your journal and should read about later on because the mindset and what you're thinking about during that, those challenging moments when you read those in the future, you may have a little giggle. You'll be like, I can't believe I was feeling like this. But I understand, future me. I had to be like this because I was enduring something that was very trying. But this is something you should all be excited about, something you should be proud of, and based on the speaking engagements that everyone has been having upon one another, I can see that everyone has done better than they expected. Maybe a few people be like, "Yo, man, I ain't lose much weight. It's little Debbie down there. Little Debbie lost a little weight. Hey, maybe little Debbie's a little bigger, but who knows? Everyone's body is different. So regardless of the results that you and little Debbie got, I'm sure that your own personal journey that you've been able to see things and maybe got to a size that you weren't able to get to before. Maybe you put some clothes on that was just like, man, these clothes fit me. What? Yeah, I mean, shout out to the people who putting clothes on that they didn't think they could fit no more, man. Shout out to y'all. That's something you should be proud of, and make sure you understand the importance that even throughout this entire lesson, what did you take from this? What did you take from this? Because yes, the DR96 is wrapped up. We put a little bow on it, but hey, man, the journey's not over. This is where it truly begins because yes, we're under the premise of the challenge, and so we're excited and we're motivated, and we're seeing pounds drop, and we're just like, yeah, girl, look good now. But hey, DR96. You know what I mean? We about to wave goodbye, but we about to say hello to something else. But until that something else pops up, what we gonna need y'all to do is make sure that you take all the lessons that you learned from this DR96 and apply that to your life in general. Yes, it's a challenge. Yes, it's something that you persevere and you overcome. But this is a lifestyle. From this point on, it's a lifestyle. We're gonna turn this challenge and say, hey, this is what we're doing. It's not even a surprise about little side effects and little ailments and little pains that you may get every now and then. It's all good. This is all part of getting healthy and walking into the true self and the true person that you were always meant to become. So during this process, I want every last one of you beautiful souls out there, I want you all to make sure that you are setting your new health goals regularly. Regularly set these new health goals so you don't get back all this magnificent effort, and so you don't give in into all these things that we succumb to. Summer's right, well, spring's popped up, summer's gonna be right around the corner, man. We got a lot of barbecues that's gonna be popping up, so look, we got to make sure that we don't give into those temptations that has got us to this point where we feel like, hey man, I ain't eating nothing because I gotta lose everything. What got us to this particular point in time? Remember that. Remember all those pains and those aches and all those things that you endured and all those hurdles that you overcome that got you to this particular point in time. Don't waste it. Don't be going out eating fast food and all these processed foods. No, treat yourself with a lot more respect than these temporary cravings that may come and that may occur to make us, oh, this tastes good, so I just want to nibble on this a little bit. And now you're 15 pounds heavier. And now you're like, man, what happened? It's because you was nibbling on it, you was eating all them processed foods, giving into that temptation. So take the lessons that you learned from this particular fast and apply that so you can create new health goals regularly. Make sure you set those achievable short-term goals, monthly. Do these things weekly until we, set up that protocol so you can fast, regularly assess where you at and adjust things. Like if you need to adjust things, I'm sure throughout this entire fast, maybe things didn't go your way, but you had to adjust. You didn't give up, but you adjusted and you changed the plan. So you're at least, you're staying on course to lose weight and to get back on to where you were looking to go. So, take this seriously. and be very intentional about everything that you do. Be very intentional. You know, we set up these protocols for a reason. We have all these things set up for a reason. So the intent behind the actions are making sense. So with all that being said, you all are amazing. You all are great. You know, the attitude and the energy that everyone is exuding throughout this entire challenge is magnetic. It makes me want to grab some of you and be like, yo, give me a hug, man. You did it. You done did it, man. Give me a hug. You know, give me a virtual hug, you know. So, but just make sure you all stay the course and understand and make sure your why is at the forefront of everything that you're doing. Okay. Make sure your why is at the forefront of everything you're doing. And that can, like, you know, restabilize your mental capacity when you give into when those moments of temptations come. You're like, no, why am I doing this? Why do I want to get healthy again? Oh yeah, because I don't want to have joint pain. Oh, I don't want to have neck pain. I don't want to have pain. I don't have no pain, you know. So just make sure that's at the forefront of your mind when you're thinking about giving into the temptation. Okay. But all right, I'm done. No more. I shall go to recess, but I'm extremely proud of every last one of you. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So it's important to lock in for a period of time after your fast, after your challenge, as Mel was saying, because you want to give your body time to adjust, right? It's been on a roller coaster ride the past couple of weeks, and we wanted to settle down, but we wanted to settle down in the right place, in the new place. We want to create a new groove in your lifestyle. So you guys really do need to stay locked in over the next few weeks, coming off of a challenge, to create a groove for you to get into, and it creates these little boundaries that are much more difficult to get out of. So if you create a groove in that new lifestyle, in that new weight, in that new path that you want to be on, it'll make it more difficult for you to go outside of those boundaries as time progresses. And of course, I have challenges planned for the rest of the year. So the goal this year is to systematically make sure that challenges are available for you guys every few weeks to every month or so, to make sure that you have that touch point with us to keep you on track. Because I know a lot of people get off track during the time in between challenges, and we could just stay in our groove in between the challenges as much as possible. Then you'll see that progress over the course of the year. Jasmine, what was your perspective of this challenge, and what did you see, or what do you want to address?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you everyone for being here, for showing up for yourself, for investing in yourself. I want to say, like, through this challenge, you know, we are learning how to live a fasted, focused lifestyle. And that is the overall goal here. Yes, this is a challenge, you know, a 1 month experience, but the more you lean into really living a fasted, focused lifestyle, the more you're able to be the embodiment of the person you desire to be. So don't look at this like, man, yeah, I'm practicing my coping mechanisms now. I'm doing all these different things. You get to do those things every day on a daily basis. This helps you actually live and become the person you desire to be. Don't look at this like, oh yeah, when I join the challenges, I'll do this, that, and the other. You can start doing this now on a regular basis. You know, if you were able to join my live, it's not too late to watch the replays of shifting from discipline to motivation, and also tips on how to nourish your mind, body, and soul, not just for dry fasting or water fasting, but on a daily basis. And the more you're able to do this, the more this becomes who and how you are. And the more challenges you join, the more you're able to be a part of the AHA communities and really immerse yourself in this whole experience. There will be no separation. It's just, this is the way you live. And the more I've learned this over the years, the more I'm able to share this so easily, is because, you know, this is who I am, and this is how you guys are. So the more you lean into that, the easier, I will use easier in this sentence, the easier it becomes. So this is an old speech I'm going to give on this last one, because I always write something, but it's one of my favorites that I've created. So this is it. So through this experience, this challenge, you know, we are really creating new neural pathways and really rewiring our brain with our thoughts, our outlook, and we're cultivating new habits. So here's the thought. The acorn is the oak tree. The oak tree is the acorn. So when we fall to the ground, that is the only way the acorn can become a mighty oak tree. So if we don't want to use the word falling, we can say landing or arriving on the ground. So it is this process that must take place for the growth to begin. The acorn knows that the fall is part of life cycles and knows to trust the process. So it decides, is it landing on a garden of possibilities or a wasteland of fear? Through this, 1 month challenge, you've all been imparted with powerful transformational information that will support you and assist you on your health and wellness /fasting journey. Some of the things you're learning, you maybe didn't know it was possible. At one point, I didn't think it was possible. I can go X amount of days without food or water, and still live. Are you serious? Literally, at one point in my life, I did not know that. But through being a part of AHA, I've learned so much powerful information. So I had to decide, am I landing and creating, possibilities, potential, permanent lifestyle changes? Or am I continuing to land on a land of fear, limiting beliefs, stagnation, and more disease? It's up to you guys. You're all creators. You can decide. Every morning we wake up, we have a chance and a choice to make a different decision. So you decide, where will you land? Which path are you choosing? Are you growing or remaining stagnant? Are you making choices consciously or unconsciously? You can decide, are you landing on, possibility, or are you leaning more into fear? So I just want to encourage everyone to continue to grow into the best versions of yourselves, because we are all worth it, from acorn to oak tree. So thank you guys for all being here, for engaging with all of us, with all my daily posts. It really means the most. And I'm so excited to see everyone in the next challenge. Thanks.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. So we oak trees, we acorns and oak trees now, man.
Yeah.
It's all part of life's metamorphosis. See, the thing is, you got to shift your perspective away from bad things happening to you, good things happening to you. It's neither. It's all about perspective. It just is. It's funny. I heard this video, and I'm not gonna try to do it verbatim because it's a really cool story, but it's basically a story of two babies in the mother's womb, and they're having a conversation, and the one baby is like, "Hey man, what do you think happens after birth?" And the other baby's like, "Nothing. It's just oblivion. There's nothing after birth." And the other baby's like, "But how do you know that?" And he's just like, no one ever come back. No one ever says anything. No one ever talks about this wonderful experience they have after birth. No one ever come back to the womb to tell us what's going on, right? So they're having this whole discussion about, what happens after birth, almost like saying what happens after death. That's like the comparison. And the reality is, we know, because we are in the afterbirth, we know what happens after birth. There's life, there's adventure, there's happiness, there's sorrow, there's pain, there's joy. It's incredible after birth, but in the womb, you're comfortable. You're comfortable there. You're afraid to go anywhere else. You don't know. It's the unknown. And so you might look at the birth as like death, not knowing that there's something greater on the other side. And I think that when we look at our wellness journeys, it could be like that. We could be stuck in the womb because we're comfortable. We're used to where we are. We understand the devil around us, right? You stick with the devil, I get it. But on the other side of that fear, on the other side of that uncomfortability, may be something greater than you could ever imagine, right? Living in the womb, you couldn't imagine what it would be like on the outside. And so I think that we have to be willing to give ourselves that adventure. And if you're willing to give yourself that adventure, it does come with falling from the tree to start, right? Same thing as like a metamorphosis of a butterfly. It's all that life, nature shows us this time and time again, and yet we continue to, ignore it or act like our experience is going to be something different from what nature shows you everyone else's, all the other creatures' experience is like. When we take that step of faith out, you will be rewarded. That's just the way it works. So, Shell, I know we had talked a little bit about extending access behind the scenes briefly. I'm gonna ask the people what they want. If you guys have had a good experience with the challenge and you would like to have an opportunity to review the content after the challenge closes, just put a 1 in the chat so that we know if there's a level of interest there, because we have to build out a program to house all of the videos and all the content, and we'll make that available to you guys. But Shell, you can go ahead, let us know what your experience has been like in the challenge, if there was anything you wanted to address, and then if we have any questions that were submitted, we'll take those, and then after that we'll do the questions that you guys submitted live, and we'll go from there.
Okay. For anybody that's putting a 1 in the chat, I'm going to ask you to also give us a testimonial. I have a series of questions that I would love to get answers to. And it's not just for me. It's not just, for us to read, but there is great power in knowing the experience of others and knowing that you are not the only one that is going through what you're going through. So before you started this challenge, how did you feel? When you saw the investment that we had presented to you, how did you feel during the challenge? How did you feel, and what your results were after? And I ask these questions because these are things that as we continue on with challenges and blitz and things that new people are going to experience or going to ponder on. And so because you've gone through this, we would love to get your feedback because it helps. Your story could be the very story that changes thousands of people's lives. I mean, you can look at Stephen Michael's story. You can look at Jonathan's story, Jasmine's story. We have some heavy hitters right here from just they decided to share their story, their experience, their pain, their breakthroughs, the process of them becoming the oak tree. So it'll be very beneficial for for other people to hear your experience. You just went through it. It's raw. You remember the feeling, the physical feeling, the emotional feelings, all of those things. You have your numbers if you did your taping and you weighed yourself. You could be your voice could be the very voice that changes the lives of others. It could be the voice that creates families, from people that didn't know that they can have children or maybe didn't want to or couldn't. And now you have a brand new family that understands that life is what you make it just from your story. So if you want the extension, we'll still do it because, he asked you, we're going to give it to you. But we would love for you to share your story. If you want to come and do the interview, I shared that information there. I also created a post. But even your words alone can be powerful. I made this is going to be random, but I made a vegetable soup last night. And at first I was thinking maybe I'll just do one thing, I like a tomato basil soup. And I'm like, well, no, I want to add a little bit of this and I want to add a little bit of that. And I want to add a little bit of this just to give it some texture and, some different flavors. And then I started thinking about our journey, our lifestyle journey in general. And it's like a vegetable soup. It's not just one thing that we do to be consistent. It takes a little bit of this. It takes some emotional healing. It takes some community support. It takes some fasting. It takes some changing of your eating habits. It takes some accountability to reflect and when we mix all of those things together, we have that pot of vegetable soup, and that's how you maintain that lifestyle. That's how you maintain all of the things that you've learned, and that momentum, and all of that is like that vegetable soup. And who doesn't like a good soup? It's soothing, and it's warm, and it's inviting, and you can share it with others. You can share that experience. You can share your recipe. And that could be, starting right here with what you've done here in the DR96. I love the support from the group. I love the sharing, the vulnerability has been there. Everything is there. And you guys have done an amazing job. And I'm really, hoping that you all are open to sharing, because sometimes we think it's not, what we did wasn't major. But you don't know what someone else is experiencing, and the one or two things that you change could be the thing that makes them say, I want to do it too. So yeah, that's what I have to say. Did we want to get into questions? Did everybody speak already? Did Stephen?
Yeah. Did you have questions that were submitted?
Yes, we do have some questions.
Okay. Do you know how many?
We have about 10. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, about 11.
Okay. We're going to go through these quickly.
Okay. All right. Okay. One of the questions was, can dry fasting help get rid of nail fungus?
Yes, it can.
Yes, it can. Okay. Greetings. A large waistline almost always equals fat on the organs. Does fat usually present outside and then store as visceral fat, or is the reverse true? I noticed that all coaches except Coach Mel have locks. Please speak to this as it relates to metamorphosis, even if covered later in a separate live. Okay. Well, I'm just, because we got one more. We got like 3 different. And then the last part of this is what therapy.
There's another part.
What therapy can be used on problem areas? I have very large arms, and I like to know if derma rolling, dry brushing, or castor packs, or a combination of those is ideal. So if I need to repeat the first question.
I'll answer the last question first. A combination of those tools can be used for spot treatment. I would use them all if you have areas, but obviously do it equally. Don't just do one side, do both sides, right? So alternate, but yeah, use them all.
Okay. That first question was, a large waistline almost always equals fat on the organs. Does fat usually present outside and then stores as visceral fat, or is it the reverse?
I don't know if there's a I don't know exactly if there's what the rhyme and reason is about that. I think depending on what type of foods or quote unquote foods that you're eating and lifestyle and that sort of thing, it's genetics too. Some people eat and it goes to their butt, and it's just like, oh, that's fine because now I got a nice big plump butt. And then some people goes to a place that's undesirable. So we're talking about genetics here and things that aren't really. It's not something that we can really know for sure without some advanced information. But I don't know exactly how. Regardless, you want to make sure the fat on your organs is minimal, because it's not healthy. So regardless of what comes first, chicken or egg, get it off, period, because it's not fat on your organs. It's going to excessive fat going to put pressure on the organs. It's going to make them function at a lower level, which is we don't want that. Shoot, as far as the lock journey thing, we definitely noticed. I definitely noticed. Chris definitely noticed things, especially in those earlier years before those first 3 years. Obviously, not something to really go into on this live, but there definitely is a shift. I feel like that is noticeable as that time goes on.
I second that motion.
I third that motion.
Jamel?
I don't that motion. So my life journey was not really based on shifting. It was based on, I have a whole lot of hair and I'm like uninterested in doing it. and that's just the real. So, and mine started maybe before everybody else's, but that was like 2005. And I like met a lady in Atlanta at a hair show, and I liked her hair, and I was like, does this help me not be able to do my hair? And she's like, yeah, like that, and sign me up. But in time, interesting enough, like right after I got the locks, then all my stuff started to shift of like, you know, health and wellness and all these things. But for me, the locks came first and then everything else. So
Yeah. After I had my first son, I was like, okay, I'm not going to have time to deal with this fro. So I locked it up. But similar to you, Jazz, like that's when the journey really, I had already started changing my eating habits and all of that. But I literally would look at my hair and I could tell based off each retwist, it told a story of where I was like emotionally and on my journey. And there are even a few at the front where there's just a small, thinner piece between, like there's thick and then there's thin, then there's thick. And I'm like, I remember what was happening during this time. So I can look at my hair and it tells the story of what my journey has been since I started it. And I never even thought to do that, or if it was even possible when I had my hair in its natural, it's still in its natural state, but like when it was in the fro.
Loose.
So loose, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think the way we got here is different, but being here, you just become more aware and you just look at everything, skin, hair, everything. So yeah. Okay. Very interesting. I like to hear that. That was an interesting question. Okay.
Enough.
Would Coach Jazz and Steven go into detail about the 3 10-day dry fasts that they went on? 3 10-day dry fasts. That might take a little while.
That's probably separate live energy.
Yeah, or post energy. I'll share it. I'll put it in our team chat, and then y'all can ponder on it and share. Maybe give them a little something in the chat in the group. Okay, we'll come back to that one, y'all, since we need to move through. But your question is important, and it will be answered. How long should I wait after completing the fast to go in for blood work?
4 days.
Okay. I've done dry fast in the past and always lost the 2 pounds per week. Wait a minute, 2 pounds per week. During this challenge, for both weeks, I'm only losing 1 pound per week. Are we meaning week or day?
Gotta be day.
It's gotta be day.
Has to be day.
yeah, week.
Any insight into why this might be happening? I started at 60 to 80 pounds overweight. If you ask this question, maybe if you're live, if you could clarify, if you mean week, I'm assuming you mean day, but yeah, because usually it's more than that. Unless you're not following the process, then you could mean week. I don't know. I don't want to assume anything, but if you can clarify, let us know. Do you have any tips how to release mucoid plaque?
I did it through, I used the Dr. Sebi small cleanse pack and a long-term water fast, 14 days. And that's how I was able to do it very quickly. Most people who do water fasting only, it usually takes like 36 days of water fasting. I think Daniel released something similar. Daniel, you're in the chat, I'm sure. If you could put in the chat I think you released something during your water fast. Maybe you could put what day that came out. But anybody else who has any other opinions, it just takes time, really.
I did mine with juice fasting when I was on my 65-day juice fast. I was doing a protocol with using, we talked in Pam yesterday, we talked about like binders, and bentonite clay, or just clay, was one of the things that I helped to remove mucoid plaque and all kinds of colors of stuff, parasites, everything. So
how long it took?
Well, on that protocol, it took about 14 days. But I did a 65-day juice fast. So
beast. Okay. Hello, it's been a while, but I love swimming and I want to start swimming again, but I am concerned about chlorine. What can I do to minimize the effects of chlorine besides taking a shower immediately after swimming? I was looking for pools that didn't use chlorine, but there are none in my area. All the best, Frank.
Well,
You could get in the ocean.
I could give you something that you could test out. You know what I'm saying? If you want to test it, because I haven't been swimming because I don't want my hair in that chlorine. So that's why I don't go swimming. But you could attempt to, you could charge some water, energize your water with the thing that I have on my website, and you can just pour a little bit of that water into the pool and then go swimming, or play the tape to the swimming pool and then jump in. And I know that's, you know, was going to require some faith on your part, but you can charge pool water too, and you can neutralize chlorine in pool water. Now the people may not be too excited about that, and they're going to rechlorinate it anyway, but that is an option.
Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay, is there a limit to how many DR96 cycles we can do without a break, or we need to take a few weeks break after a certain number of cycles? For example, are 8 continuous cycles okay?
I don't see a problem.
Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead.
I don't. So the quick answer is no. It's not like you have to stop for a specific reason, for like health reasons. What I usually suggest is usually after about a month of any type of fasting. So whether you're doing water fasting or whether you're doing dry fasting, right? Usually after about a month, unless your intention is to go longer than a month, then I would suggest usually to take a 5 to 7 day break. 100% simply for mental purposes. Fasting is a stress on the body. It's a stress on the mind. And it for mental purposes, I usually recommend a 5 to 7 break. But like I said, if your intention is to do, because I did a 65-day juice fast, right? But that's juice fast, right? So you're getting a lot of, nutrition and stuff. But yeah, the answer is no. Plus, you're getting a break every 2 days or every cycle anyway. So when you're doing these rolling fasts, you can just keep running them because you're getting a break. So yeah.
Yep. I'm just checking with yourself. Okay. I'm not sure if this has been asked, but what is the safe amount to gain during refeed? And is it normal for the weight loss to slow down? I lost 13 pounds. The 196 hour gain. I'm gonna just read it, and that might be a typo, but let me read it through. And is it normal for the weight loss to slow down? I lost 13 pounds. The 196 hours gained 5 and only lost 7. Gained 5 and only lost 7 the next time, and I'm up 4 on this refeed. Just wondering if this is okay. That 196 kind of threw me off. I'm assuming it's the first 96 hours. Let me put it in the chat so y'all can read it, because
there's a lot here. Believe it or not, and you may, some people may think that that's a simple question, but it's really not, because there's excuse me, as a coach, if you were talking to me, I would have a slew of questions that I would ask you before I can really answer this properly. What are you eating? What do you weigh? What's your activity like? There's a lot of reasons. And, so when you say, is this okay? Sure. Right. I'm not going to sit here and say, no, that's bad. You shouldn't gain 4 pounds, or, you know what I mean? But I will say that depending on how you're refeeding, the amount that you're eating and what you're eating all plays a role in the amount of weight that you gain. But as we said earlier, and I think we can wrap this one up, the weight that you lost is not the same weight that you gained. And we really have to understand that even more with dry fasting. And I think that that's one of the reasons that we took so long to even do a dry fasting challenge, because we understand the mind games that can be played when dry fasting and refeeding. People are like, oh, that was pointless. I lost 20, but then I gained 8 back. It's like they're not the same things. What you lost is not the same as what you gained. So, I mean, unless someone else has something for that.
I think it just goes back to what I said at the very beginning of the call. For those who did show up late, make sure to watch the beginning. But when you gain back weight on a dry fast, and if you're doing things per the protocol, you're fine. You don't need to question if you're doing something wrong or right. You're fine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Okay, we got 3 more after this. Will fasting cure or heal Nev? Oh, well, we answered that one already. He really wanted to know that answer. I got you. I'm not mad at you, but we answered it. Yes, it can. When and what is the next AHA challenge after the DR96?
Ooh, the third.
We'll be announcing the next challenge this month.
Okay. Can you sun charge regular filtered water? Is it worth it? Or is it only effective with distilled?
You can sun charge any water. It's always worth it. It's always better than not doing it.
All right. That wraps up the questions that we have.
Beautiful. All right. So I'm going to just quickly go over some refeed stuff. And then we're going to move on to questions you guys submitted. I know you guys are waiting to get your questions answered in the chat. So hopefully he's sticking around.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here.
We got a nice group here with us tonight.
We got a good group, man. I'm proud of y'all for showing up.
Yes.
Showing up for themselves.
For sure.
Very important.
She said we got to wait until the end of this month.
What?
Man, Join Pam.
Y'all are wild. Join Pam. Pam. All right, so final refeed. The purpose of the final refeed is to give the body ample time to get used to digesting whole foods again. All right. We do this with a simple process similar to the preparation process. Below, you're going to find a sample guide of a refeed meal plan that you may want to follow and make slight adjustments to have a successful refeed. A few important notes to understand. Firstly, completing a successful refeed after fasting is vital to help ease the body back into digesting whole foods. Secondly, the cleaner your diet is, the more success you will have on your wellness journey after the fasting period. Finally, even after a successful refeed, if you go back to eating the same diet you were eating before the fasting period, you are likely to regain most of the physical weight you lost during the fasting period. It is essential to change our diets and be more consistent with the ones that we currently have adopted. So as I mentioned earlier, you all create a groove in your lifestyle that creates boundaries for yourself to maintain the benefits of the challenge and what you have gained so far. And the more consistent you are and the more intentional you are creating this groove, the easier it will be to maintain the results that you have. There is no magic involved in fasting. If you go back to eating McDonald's, you will gain the weight back. And I will warn you, if you go back to eating McDonald's, you will likely hurt yourself. And when I say hurt yourself, I'm saying abdominal pain. I'm saying organ discomfort. I'm saying, creating problems that didn't exist before. So let this be your final warning. Do not go back to old habits. Now, what I mean by that is if your old habit was you ate McDonald's every day for lunch, because that was like the convenient thing, don't go back to eating it every day for lunch. If you have it once a week, that wouldn't be an old habit, right? That would be a new habit. So I'm not saying that you have to eliminate processed foods and refined sugars and fast foods 100% or you're going to ruin everything. But I'm saying you have to create better habits than you had before. Hopefully this is all resonating. So you guys can find this guide. it's already in your, this is already in your manual, in your 96 hour, your DR96 guide. It's towards the end, and it outlines a very simple way for you guys to approach eating. Okay, we've given you guys recipes. I'm just going to go through this couple of these. Day 1, raw mono foods. Now, why do I like raw mono foods? Raw fasting or mono fasting is a great technique you can use to determine what foods are irritating your system. When you come off of a dry fast, you may find that foods you used to eat irritate your system now. So mono fasting is a great way to learn what can you eat that will not irritate your system, what will you eat that will irritate your system. And you create, if you guys have one of the AHA journals, you've got, or if you got a food journal, you create a list of foods that digest well, right? Like literally, guys, you could take the next 2 weeks and you could mono fast. You know, you don't have to do one food item per day. You could do one food item per meal, and you could take the next 2 weeks and you could determine, how does quinoa sit with me? How does beans sit with me? How does apples or kiwi sit with me? How do kale and cabbage or whatever, right? You could just go through and you could try different mono meals. I like to play with raw meals first. You can move on to cooked stuff. You could do a combination of both. It's really up to you. Pay attention to your body and how it responds. Okay. And so from that point forward, you've got day 2, raw meals, including leafy greens, salads, vegetables. Okay. This is like basically a reverse preparation is essentially what this is. But you guys can play with and expand any one of these days. Day 1, you could do for an entire week. Day 2, you could do for an entire week. It doesn't matter. You guys are completely in control. Okay. So I want you to make sure you guys are checking this guide out. You can ask questions about it if you need guidance. It goes all the way to day 7. You've got day 6 and stuff. You've got your processed foods and things coming back. Obviously, we are coming off of dry fasting. So I want to push out the meats, the dairy products, the processed foods, and refined sugars as much as possible to give your body an opportunity to adjust. Okay. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to make sure we covered that as a group. Mm-hmm. And then now we're going to just hit these questions because there's going to be a little bit more explanation on some of these points with some of the questions I starred. Did anybody have anything before we move to the next phase?
Just a reminder that the group will be open for another week. I think we close on the 13th. So y'all still have support throughout this process because the refeed is vital. So we want to be here to support you on that. And for anyone that may have started later, so you might be in it, finishing up your cycle now, and we'll still be here to support you on that.
Also, Shell and I will be putting together a program that will house all of the content from the challenge, and you guys will get access to that if you get one of our extended access passes. And the way you're going to be able to get that is either by joining PAM. So if you're already a part of PAM, we'll include that. Or if you guys grab the AHA fasting system, which is on our Fasting Academy, if you guys have either one of those subscriptions, you'll get access to the extended version of this challenge so you guys can review. I know some of y'all are just basically keep going through the cycles. And honestly, a lot of you guys have probably missed content between now and when we started the challenge. There's been a lot of content put out. And so for those who didn't get a chance to digest everything, that'll be an opportunity. So I would do PAM personally. I would do PAM and I would do get the extended access like that. All right.
Maybe we can drop the PAM link again.
Somebody.
I'll drop it in there. I'm just sending a reminder so I can get an email out as well.
Okay, so we need the extended advanced support chat for those doing a few more rounds. So I didn't even know this was the first question. This question was sent at like 7 o'clock too. So hopefully that answered. We got y'all. We're gonna do that. And I am working on something crazy, y'all. I don't know if I should announce it. Shell knows what I'm talking about,
Mm.
but she don't know enough to tell me not to tell you.
I know enough to tell you not to say anything because that means we're going to have more questions that we're not ready for, but big things are coming. I promise.
I'm working on something crazy for y'all. It's gonna be so cool, and it's gonna be available soon-ish.
I know everybody. I'm
Tell
familiar
you.
with it. Listen, I'm always the bad guy. I understand. I love you guys. It's coming soon.
Chill, I'll help you out. Chris, don't say nothing because this will be a good way to learn how to hold that energy in. Good
I've been
practice.
doing it.
Energy missing.
My question is, if I'm transitioning to the DR48, can I do 1 refeed day instead of 2 in between? I guess that's a question for me. It's my protocol. Yeah, sure. If you're doing the DR48, if you're coming off the DR96 and you're transitioning to the DR48, sure, you could do that. Keep in mind, y'all, look, dry fasting is one of those protocols that I have to be extra careful with. Okay, there's a lot of warning. There's a lot of recommendations because I don't want y'all pushing yourselves on these dry fasts. I know they're powerful. I know they give you great results. I just don't want y'all pushing them. So especially in our general free guides, I'm going to be extra careful. So, but yeah, that's fine if you want to do 1 day. Anybody doing cycles of DR48 for the remainder of April? So yeah, the last question. Yep. So there's a group of people doing it. And if you all want to kind of band together, you can either grab the extended version of this challenge and join Pam, and then you can all be there. Or in the free membership area, there's a lot of new people who are brand new to a healthy alternative that are there that are doing the DR48. Create a post, get a group going. There's people already there looking for that.
Mm-hmm.
My question to the coaches: what are your thoughts on using creatine? Thanks in advance. I'm gonna pass that to Steve Mel or John. Y'all work out.
Yeah. Look, so creatine is the most studied,
Supplement. Supplement.
Yeah, the most studied supplement. It works. It definitely works. But here's the thing. I don't know what your goals are, but if you're not pushing yourself to the point of seeing what your body can do on its own, then if you're just starting out and you want to start, what's my protein and my creatines and all the teens, it's just like you don't really need to worry about that. Get a good routine first. See what your body can do with its own first. See what happens when you do the progressive overload, how your body starts to change on its own. I tried creatine once, like 15 years ago. I didn't stay on it long enough to do it. I was just started working out, like when I was early in the military, maybe even a little bit more than 15 years or whatever. I mean, the results that I got at a time, like my 2019 results, that was just working out and fasting and whatever I was eating at the time, because I don't track macronutrients and do all that stuff. So, on my Instagram, I've got old pictures and stuff, and I was super lean and super cut and super strong, and I didn't take nothing. So, I mean, it's studied, it works, you know what I mean? But do you really need it at this point? What are your goals? There's so many questions. I would say if you don't have a good routine, if you're not working out 5 days a week, if you're not doing progressive overload and doing all the things that you can do just by your own volition at first, if you're not maxing that stuff out, then But
I just want to add on one thing. Number one, I agree. And then also take all that and then apply that to protein as well. Because I mean, creatine and protein, as soon as you start working out, that's going to be shoved down your throat so much. And honestly, the HGH production that you get from the fasting is going to give you better benefits than what you would get if you were just doing creatine. And if you're just taking creatine, but you don't have a good routine, like John said, you're going to just start gaining weight. So it's very important to understand those two supplements. And honestly, if I can be very honest, 99.5% of people probably in AHA don't even need to be looking at adding protein powders, supplements, or creatine. You probably have some time before you need to get there. That's just the honest truth. So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
I do not use anything.
Do it better.
So when it comes to like creatine, anything with a teen, I mean, you know, I'm good on it. You know, growing up, I used to. I don't think I've ever taken creatine, but I know it's like side effects and stuff that they use. You know, I guess it depends on which ones you use, but man, I don't do none of that. You know what I mean? All I need
No
is
teens.
I mean, only teen I got is the routine. You feel me? My that's the only teen I rock with. You know, I'm consistent. You know, I have my own little personal challenge that I do for myself. I've done 100 push-ups every single day since January. It's just have a routine that you're consistent at, that you can do and what you're trying to build, you know, and your body will respond accordingly.
Quickly too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, nothing beats using the body's natural resources. You guys see that with the weight loss, right? What weight loss diet, pill, or anything that you have done can beat what you've done with dry fasting or with fasting.
Not a one.
You know, so nothing works better than the body. The human growth hormone goes through the roof. Like using an intermittent dry fasting or intermittent dry fasting or intermittent fasting schedule accompanied by regular exercise is going to kill anything that you're probably looking to do outside of that. So, all right, question. Feels like I should have more elimination during refeed. Any suggestions? It's funny that your name is Smooth Sailing.
Right. When we had the smooth move packet bundle.
We had the Smooth Move bundle for this very reason, right? So I don't know. I'm assuming you didn't get any of the tools because the caster pack was designed to help you guys have smooth moves. The Restore is designed to help you have smooth moves. The SP6 is designed to help you have smooth moves. So if you think about the tools that we offered you guys for this challenge, you can see we were thinking about making sure that you had smooth moves, because as you come off of your dry fast, you start to eat again, you probably are going to find that your bowels slow down, right? Not because you did something wrong, but because your bowels have always been this sluggish. It's just fasting is giving you an opportunity to see how sluggish your bowels are for the first time and who knows how long. So, give your body a time to adjust, get some of the tools, castor oil. We talked about enemas. Enemas are a good way. Don't overdo it. If you're fasting, you could do an enema every other day. We had mentioned getting the colonics at the end of the challenge. All of this was designed to clear all of the mess that might be in your intestinal tract and your colon out so that you guys can have proper bowel movements. But it's still going to take time. You're not going to fix all your problems with one little challenge.
Get you some prunes before you eat your other stuff. Get you some of them prunes, some nice juicy prunes.
Let me tell y'all, my morning routine, I take a sachet of Restore and I eat about 5 pineapples, little slices of pineapples. Yeah.
To get things going.
And how did you figure out that routine, Shell?
I don't know. Did I tell you? Because I don't recall. I just
trial and error.
do things.
Trial and error with time, just trying things.
My mind was just like that. Restore definitely works, and I know how I feel when I have a few pineapples. And it's like on an empty stomach. It's one of the first things I do outside of drinking my water when I wake up. And when I do it, I can tell the difference between doing it and not.
So it's intention, y'all. We don't need to tell you guys the answer. You guys can figure this stuff out. The goal is to give you tools so you can figure out what works for you. Be intentional. You'll find listen, Mel is animated for a reason. Okay. I asked Mel, hey Mel, I remember back in the day, I don't know how he feels now, but he'd be like, I don't like soup. Soup make my bowels get loose in the soup. And I'm just like, okay, so it helps you defecate. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about experience you had. Some people be like, oh, I eat fruit. I don't eat fruit. It makes my bowels move. Okay, what fruit are you eating, right? Like, think about that. People think, oh, that's a bad thing. No, that's a good thing. It's moving your bowels. That's a good thing. Get yourself some yellow dragon fruit, because that's the sweet kind. You know what I'm saying?
3 of them.
Turkey,
3 of them.
golly, John.
Look, you'll be on that toilet. I'm telling you.
Jeff like, nah, one.
Them things like $5 a piece still.
Right.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, is that worth having a good food?
There's a lot of
expensive.
different answers to your question, as you can see.
Juicy fruit is good. You just figure out what makes sense for you, because prunes don't work for me. It makes me bloated, but it works for a lot of other people. Apple juice used to work for me, but it doesn't really do it. But pineapples and what did we just talk about? The little fruit, dragon fruit, the other one. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Work well.
So this question is kind of along the same lines. When I do a DR48, can I do an enema on each day of fasting? No, do an enema every other day. Only while you're fasting. If you're not fasting, do not be doing an enema every other day. You don't want to abuse enemas. Okay.
You don't want a hemorrhoid either.
Woo! No, you don't.
I'm just saying.
Lord, man, jeez, don't even say that word. God.
Listen, it happens. Look, we gotta talk about it. We gotta tell the people.
Gonna be on fire.
You're doing too much.
Don't sit
When
on
it-
hot water.
if you get a hemorrhoid or you feel one coming, get you some cypress essential oil from doTERRA
And a
and
carrier
rub it
oil.
right down on the anus or
And-
as close to.
With the carrier oil.
Yeah, okay, with the carrier or whatever. I do it raw. I ain't gonna.
You're gonna be holding them cheeks like
Chris
this.
like it raw. It's gonna
I do it raw. I ain't gonna hold you.
It's gonna be spicy.
I
Use
do
a
not play with no
carrier
hemorrhoid.
oil. Don't let Chris have y'all out here. I mean, it'll work, but you have to get
Also,
burn.
something to remember is your posture. When you gotta poop, when you feel like you should be and you're not, sit down in a squatting position and just sit there. Give it in 30 minutes. Give it some time. And if you can't sit in that squatting position, then first of all, you need to work on that, because that is you want to be able to do that squatting position into your golden years. There should never be a point where you can't just squat down and be like that. I make it a point to sit like that. I do it so much I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
But that will help you, because what happens is it shortens the distance, all your inside parts, and it helps that flow to just flow. Sitting on a toilet is not good for us. If you don't have a squatty potty, get one of those. But at the very least, squat down in this position so your body can utilize just that force of things coming down to help. And that'll help too. Whenever I have one kind of waiting in the wind, I just sit in the squatting position and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Yeah, okay, right now. So
yeah, and you can take it slow. You can find different things to do. Because when I was like, whenever I'm pregnant, I have a belly, I hold on to like the sink or something and just get down.
You better be going through it.
Man, look, when that stomach starts expanding, I'll do so much. But yeah, that squatting position definitely. I mean, you can learn a lot from children. They love to sit in that position naturally. And it's just something to work toward too. Work your hips and go to a chiropractor or something.
hip mobility, yeah, and the ankle
Hey,
mobility.
look, I put a link to the squatty potty in the chat. If y'all don't have, I've had a squatty potty for like 8-9 years. If you don't got a squatty potty, I don't know what you're doing.
I got
Change
step
your
stool.
whole.
Yeah.
Step stool's fine too. Change your whole game. Get you a squatty potty. You know what I'm saying? That's the ghetto squatty potty.
Sure is.
That's,
I couldn't figure it. I'm like, I need one immediately. Y'all know I told y'all my story about constipation. I ain't have time to order a squatty potty. I needed it now. So I went to the store. I found one of those lower, and not too tall, just like one of those lower little step stools. And I've been having this for the longest, and it works.
Yeah, that's not ghetto. It's creative shit.
It's ghetto. Amazon Prime one day delivery. Get your squatty potty. They do multiple levels. You know what I'm saying? It looks nice, whatever. All right. I would like to incorporate alternative day fasting, and on my fasting days do a dry fast instead of water. Is a shorter dry fast just as beneficial?
I mean, any dry fast is going to be beneficial.
Sorry. Me personally, I don't know how any other coaches feel about this. I personally don't suggest alternate day dry fasting. That's just me personally. And the reason is because of how the body turns on the vasopressin response system, which is why during long-term dry fasting, you don't get dehydrated. We talked about this in the earlier part of the challenge, right? We talked about ADH, or the hormone that it gets sent to the kidneys to tell the body to recycle water. That's just me personally. I don't suggest it because your body is not recycling water at that time. So I think that you can get into a situation where if you're not eating really well and you're not eating hydrating foods and staying hydrated, you can actually get yourself into a situation where you can become dehydrated because you haven't given your body enough time to actually start recirculating hydration. So that's just me. Chris, I don't know if you have anything on that or if you disagree, but I personally, that's why I don't suggest alternate day dry fasting. I would rather you do 2 days if you're going to do it.
I put out a guide for intermittent dry fasting, and I can't remember if I did alternate day dry fasting, but I was very hesitant to do it. At the time, there was a large demand. This was maybe a year or two ago. People wanted to know, and I was hesitant to do it for exactly the reason why what you just said. So there is an asterisk there. I put the guide out. I put one of those guides out. I don't think it was alternate day. I think it was intermittent dry fasting.
Intermittent, like that's fine because that's Ramadan. That's
Right.
literally what Ramadan is.
Right.
It's just alternate day. It just makes. I'm not saying you can't do it and you're going to hurt yourself. I'm just saying if you're going to do it, more than ever, you have to eat well.
Yeah.
Like you gotta eat clean with hydrating foods only.
Yeah. You know what, Steve? How about this? If you're gonna do an alternate day dry fasting, you're basically doing dry fasting and raw food eating, like
basically.
That's it.
Fruits,
like you can't be going back and forth between like dry fasting and McDonald's and you can't do that. So
Yeah.
not even just McDonald's, but dry fasting and pasta, dry fasting and eating potatoes, right? Like, so not even just, so I want to be clear because some people may think, oh, I can do dry fasting, but as long as I'm eating vegetables, but like, no, not even all vegetables. Like you got to be so clean, right? Fruits, leafy greens,
Steamed.
Steamed vegetables or stewed, things that are going to digest easily and quickly. You just got to be on point. So if your diet is not on point, or if you can't do that, I would probably suggest alternate day water fasting or the DR48.
Yeah.
This is just a reminder that we have to look at the prep, fasting, and refeed like all as one cycle, not like fasting in and of itself, how sometimes people look at like, oh yeah, I did this dry fast, then I'm going to get back to my life, then I'm going to jump back in and dry fast or water fast. Always look at it as a cycle. Like you can't have one without the other in totality and correctly, ideally. You know what I mean? Prep, fast, refeed, prep, fast, refeed. Always look at that as like one unit, not the separation.
Yeah. And when you're doing those alternate day programs, you're basically always on. You know what I'm saying? It reduces fasting fatigue tremendously, but you are basically always on. So sometimes if you're thinking, oh, I want to do a 30-day dry fast or something, like no, but you could do an alternate day dry fast where you're constantly on. And that means when you're the alternate day eating, you're eating raw, like just fruit, apples, oranges. You know what I'm saying? Like keep it simple and look at that 30 days as an entire thing. Okay, I noticed I had bad muscle cramps during the refeed. I had a Charlie horse and fingers locked up. And I followed the refeed protocol to the T. Do you know why this could happen?
You were probably already depleted. You're missing nutrients, you're missing minerals before we even get started. Once again, sometimes these questions are not simple to answer because there's more information that we need. And even if you said I did prep as 100%, that just because you did a week of prep does not take away from deficiencies that you may have had from the last 40, 50 years. So it's very important to just understand that your body is going through a shift, right? From the sense of I'm now digesting to now fasting, and then now going from fasting to now eating. It changes, and the requirements are going to be a little bit different for what it needs. So there's going to be unfortunately, there's going to be some uncomfortability at some times. A lot of people probably noticed they had pain in their joints, or they had pain in areas that they had an injury and that were healed, right? You may notice that, and the body is working in those areas. So what I would say is it wasn't necessarily the fasting or the refeeding if you did everything to a T. It's simply how life has been previously, and it's probably showing you that there's some deficiencies in potassium, magnesium, things like that typically control cramping and stuff. So I would look at my diet, and not your diet during the challenge, but your diet in the past, and you probably will find that there's been some critical nutrients that are missing that will cause you to have like cramps and spasms and stuff.
This would be a good chance for you to get a blood test. You get some blood work done, find out what you potentially are deficient in, and then you could start focusing on eating foods that are rich in the things that you're lacking. You could also do a birch essential oil with a carrier on the areas where you have the cramping and, or the spasms or whatever it is it might be, just to help. But once again, I think Stephen nailed it. It's fasting brings to the surface deficiencies and issues, just like we talk about the bowels, where your bowels are slower than what you thought they should be coming off the fast. It brings issues to the surface so we can address it.
Yeah, just to be clear, you want to get a micronutrient test. So that's the name of the test that Chris is talking about. So, I don't want, if you go to your doctor and just say, I need to get a blood test, it may not, that's such a vague term, but if you get a micronutrient test, it will tell you what they're like. I got one, they're like $400, and it was like, oh, look at all these things that are which people were like, well, you don't eat any meat, so you're going to have all these imbalances. Well, that wasn't true, right? There are things that I was low in, and they made sense when I started thinking about my life. One of them was magnesium, right? And I was very stressed out. Stress is unfortunately something I've lived under for years. But stress eats up magnesium like crazy, right? So I had to start. So I got I take Vimergy, and I take magnesium, right? So a micronutrient test is really good at showing you exactly where you may be lacking and why you have issues and the types of foods that you should eat. So
I'm gonna drop a link for the Relive Greens too. Like if you get your testing and something comes up, Relive Greens from the Root brand is a good starting point to get a lot of those nutrients in if you can take it.
I'm glad you brought up the Relive Greens. I just had an interview, y'all, with Dylan from the Root Wellness brand. He's I think he works in distribution or something. I can't remember like exactly, but I'm gonna put that link in the chat as well, so you guys, because if you're not familiar with Root, I highly recommend that you do get familiar. When we do have deficiencies and things, or if we want to try to supplement, I usually try to go to Root first to see if I can find what I want from them, because they've been a trusted partner of ours for what, like 4 years, four and a half years now. And the products work incredibly well. They are well sourced. They are third-party tested and verified. You just know what you get with Root. And their products are not cheap, but you get what you pay for. And if we're looking to really make an impact on our nutrition and our health and our wellness holistically, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you want to invest in yourself like that? So,
Yeah. I mean, that restore changed my life. Changed my life.
so weird. Where is it?
What you looking for?
I was looking for the video I did with Dylan. Just gotta remember the name. Okay,
Man,
here
you
it
gotta
is.
get you that Trinity, right? Get you at least get the Trinity. This is going to give you the clean slate, which is the passive detox. You need to get that zero in your life. Zero in changed my life. Get you some zero. I'm not saying that hypothetically. Zero in is, I personally think, and this is might be a hot take, right? But I personally think that's their best product. Clean slate is their number one, right? And we need the detox. But God, that zero in. So yeah, but they're good morning minerals, right? Really good for, once again, just mineralization of the body. And they have other products as well. But I use their skincare line. That's why I be glowing. You know what I'm saying? Listen, they're good, man. Hey, man.
Yeah,
We
that lady.
was using Restore on our skin because it works, and then they came out with a skincare line, so you don't have to do that. You know, and I like them, man. I like Root.
I can see us being partners with them indefinitely.
I like Root.
All right, I'm on hour 48, 98 of. Oh, John, you want to read these?
I'm just it's a 98 instead of 40.
No. Listen, you can read them if you want.
I am on hour 98 of my dry fast, and I haven't broke my fast. But now I am craving fruit. If I break my fast with fruit, which fruit is best to break my fast? I have watermelon, apples, bananas, etc. I would say, if you are going to break, but do your best to hold on. Like, hey, do your best to hold on. You're stronger than you think. But if you are going to break, but do your best to hold on. Use a watery, juicy fruit, like watermelon, watermelon or apples. Cucumber would be really good. If you have some heirloom tomatoes, that's also a fruit. Don't come for me. So, is that pause worthy? Really? Okay. As you were. Don't come for me. Pause. So that's my take. But you're stronger than you think. Do your best to hold on.
I wanna. Well, I'm gonna say this: break your fast with water or liquid. Okay, don't break your fast with fruit. John, you're not incorrect in saying that. Yeah, if you're gonna do it, use high water content fruit. Here's my concern, and once again, it goes back to making sure that as we're speaking to a large, there's a general public here. You guys have to instill habits in yourself when it relates to like dry fasting that are a little bit different than water, because you can hurt yourself if you don't do things properly. So for example, you hear John say, hey, watermelon's fine. Okay, you think, well, what else can I have? Right. And now you're doing banana and avocado instead. Or you're doing, you think dates are okay. You start, it goes back to when you give somebody an inch, they take a mile. So I don't really like playing with that, because people don't listen to what you just say. They also create this whole world outside of what you just said, with all these variable possibilities, and then it gets confusing. So I always tell you guys, break with a liquid, and that's usually water, infused water, maybe coconut water, but once again, I don't even like telling y'all coconut water, because then you're going to go get something from off the shelf. You're not going to go get a real coconut and use coconut water, right? So I always say just do water, do infused water, do and then later on, after you've got past, you've had your sips of infused water for a few hours, then you could do like juice, you could do your coconut water, maybe some broth, and things of that nature, especially on a longer dry fast, because they're 98 hours in. So,
and also just FYI, there is an entire video that I did on exactly this question in the group, in the events tab, waiting for you. That literally answers this question better than we can answer it tonight. I have an entire video on this.
Boom.
So then you probably, well, you got time, but see, this is the reason why we're going to offer the extended access, so you guys can go back and review this stuff. Okay, is it normal for your BP to be high while dry fasting? Just checking, because mine was last week during my doctor's appointment. So I'm going to point out a couple things. You guys can follow up if you want. Blood pressure usually is high during your doctor's appointment. You know why? Because you're in the doctor's office. And we naturally increase our blood pressure just being in the doctor's office, believe it or not. Remember that your blood pressure is dynamic. It is not a stagnant number, a static number that is just always whatever, they say it needs to be. It changes based on your environment, your stress levels, and all sorts of things. It is not normal. I wouldn't say that it's normal, as normal for your blood pressure to be high on a dry fast versus it to be low. Usually it lowers. So that will be considered more normal, but it depends. What if you are releasing a large plaque buildup and your pressure is a little high because of that? Or it could just be simply because of the stress from being at the doctor's office. And then follow up here, I didn't remain high the next day. It was 130/89. The doctor told me to keep track of it, or he'll want me to take a prescription. So,
Hustling. Oh, well, my bad.
Oh, doctors get paid off those prescriptions, y'all. I mean,
Hey,
I don't know.
There's a whole industry out there.
Last thing I'll say, when you go get your blood pressure taken, most people don't know this. There is a 28 to 30-minute process that's supposed to take place before you get your blood pressure taken. I would ask you, did your doctor do that process? If you don't know what I'm talking about, he didn't do it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, he's probably never done it. And you've probably never had that process done. The reason why there is a almost 30-minute process that you do before you get your blood pressure taken is so you can get a accurate reading of the blood pressure, because your blood pressure changes. And so you have to calm the system down. And there's an entire process that you're supposed to go through so you can get an accurate reading of your blood pressure. Most of y'all are on high blood pressure medication. You don't even need to be on it. All right, that's it. Anybody got anything else for that?
My daddy got off his blood pressure medicine over a weekend from using margarine. So
over a weekend.
When you stand up from a sitting position, your blood pressure shifts.
I mean, John, I was like, you're walking in to the doctor's office. Your blood pressure is higher because you're just walking, right? I mean,
using muscle, it's pressurized to send them nutrients to the muscles doing the action. So,
and of course, it depends on how high, what you've been eating. I know the question was about with fasting, how long you've been doing it is regulating. It's a lot that goes into it, but remember to breathe and use your tools as it relates to calming and relaxing yourself so that you can get an accurate reading, so you can determine, is it chronic high blood pressure, or if it's just the moment and because of where you are and checking in and everything.
All right. So hopefully that helps you. Did you reach 1,000 new people, Chris? I hope I reached 1,000 new people. I don't know. Every day I'm looking to reach 1,000 new people. What's your real question? So I put out a challenge to the AHA communities, but also the Facebook group, mainly the Facebook group. If you all are in AHA Facebook group, please listen up. I wanted to bring as many of our people from the Facebook group over to AHA communities, because the platform on Facebook is just not where it's at. Okay. It's a great platform. Don't get me wrong. There's lots of information. It's great for searching. You have questions. Who's reversed this? Who's reversed that? I'll leave it open. It's always going to be a great tool. However, if you guys want to be in the know, if you guys want to be in the know and up to date with AHA, you want to be messing with, communicating with the coaches, people need to be here. Okay. This is where the heart of AHA is. So I challenged the Facebook group to move here. I said, if we get 1,000 members over, I'm going to release a new protocol. The guide that I have that I have for you guys is how to lose 80 pounds in 90 days. It is a almost day by day guide showing you exactly what you need to do every single day. And I'm building the guide as if it's one of our premium guides. So I'm making it free for everybody, but it's going to have the premium touch, the same premium touch you guys get from our, fasting guides. Why? Because I genuinely care about people. I genuinely want to see people win and be successful. And I want to get people over here where we are, because I want to rebuild what we had on Facebook on AHA communities. So if you guys can help me move people over, go over to the Facebook group, talk about your challenge experience, talk about how wonderful the platform is, how easy it is to navigate, whatever you need to talk about, bring people over here. We are only about 30 people away from our goal. I know I shouldn't tell y'all that because you probably think, oh, we'll reach the goal, whatever. I don't got to do nothing. I'm asking you as a personal favor, do it anyway. But yeah, we almost reached our goal. So you guys will probably get access to that guide sometime next week. What is the complete cycle for the DR48? I'm a little confused. If you want to know what the cycle is for the DR48, grab the guide. It is on AHA Communities. And
I dropped it in the chat shortly after that comment was made.
Okay.
To the post.
So
but you can go to the home. Sorry.
No, go.
You can go in the home group and just up in the search bar, type in DR48. In the post that Chris made, you'll see the guide. It stands out and you can go to it. But I put the link in the chat as well.
Okay. That's everything, y'all. I know y'all put more questions in there, but I'm not starring no more. We're almost 2 hours in. I think that you all got your money's worth in this challenge. I'm still looking at questions. I believe we over delivered. I mean, coaches, what y'all think? You think we over delivered?
Man, they just get that good info.
We gave everything that was needed.
On value.
We did really good. Everyone deserves a pat on the back.
Now I'm gonna high five you I'm gonna high five you.
Mel's like, we did good.
Yeah. Like a fourth grader reading.
We did good.
Fourth grader reading at the second grade levels.
Don't do him like that. We appreciate you, Mel.
We
love
back.
you.
Who we doing?
Hey, well, man, that's my man. Can't even say nothing.
Each one of you loving mother lovers up.
Dang.
He reading like Siri. He's
still mad at the
like
Watts comment.
All right. Thank you all for being a part of this challenge with us, making it as animated as it has been. It's been a pleasure hosting you all. We are still here. If you guys have questions, you want to get answered, create a post, tag one of the coaches, and we'll do our best to get all of your questions. And join Pam. Join one of our other resources. You guys, the Pam group especially is a small group. It's easy to access the coaches. It's easy to get attention in there. We do calls 3 times a week, and we alternate which coach does the calls. And so you guys get a wide variety of information, perspective, even on the same topics, which, some people need to hear things a different way. So this was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. We are going to be building a brand new challenge that's going to take from what we learned, and I'm going to take everything up a notch in the way of outcomes, but I'm going to make it even safer. I'm going to make this more digestible. I'm going to make it more available, because a lot of people are just nervous about doing the DR96. It's too long for them, right? So hopefully we'll get more people involved, and you guys all see the benefit of dry fasting. I ain't got no more talking. Coaches, y'all want to go ahead and do your last thing, and we'll rock out.
I can't take y'all anymore. Y'all play so much.
Some people ain't allowed to talk. Jasmine, you've been very good. Jasmine, what do you have to close us out with?
I'm just gonna say, your ROI, the return on investment when you invest in yourself, that is just self-responsibility at its finest. So I would just encourage everyone to just continue to stay locked in to AHA, the communities, look out for the next challenge, make sure, you know, you're signed up, tuned in, all the things so you can be able to, you know, continue to be a part of this and continue to get outcomes. And so glad to see you guys here and look forward to the next challenge.
Peace.